All right. Osio. Ayoloza. Welcome to the Red Road East. I am your host, Fierce Truth Seeker. Give me 1 second while we get ourselves situated here. Okay, we're here with Michael Cremo. All right. And we're looking at the extreme antiquity of man in the Western Hemisphere. All right. And we shut down our Saw Man with his out of Africa theory. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't have anything against Africa. You know, he mentioned that. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? You know, against Africa. That's crazy. Um, the argument is where civilization started. Okay, we've been given a narrative that civilization started in Africa. Okay, our stories say that we didn't come from anywhere. Okay, that civilization started here and went to the other parts of this part of the quote unquote earth. All right. When I say this part, meaning separated from, meaning these continents that we are familiar with, because we know that beyond the poles, there's more land. Okay, so that's why I say in this particular plane of existence that we are in. All right, so there's no anti-African anything, because again, our empire extended across the Atlantic. Okay, we've been going back and forth doing trade with our cousins over on the continent and intermarrying with each other for eons. All right? So we'll get into the Michael Cremo stuff a little bit later. I want to stay on top. I just had to see, because what happens is right now, YouTube is not allowing me to reply to everyone in the comments section on my videos. So, I can reply to certain people, and with other people I can't. And sometimes I can, and sometimes I can't. So if there's any times that you ask me something in the comments section and I don't get back to you, sometimes that's the case. And they also delete comments. Certain comments get deleted, That's been happening as well. Okay? So we'll deal with that later. I just had to shut down Osar Man, with his theories about where we come from as American Aborigines. Okay? And we'll deal with that. See, that's another topic for another time. But, I just wanted to leave y'all with that. And leave him with that. And let him know, because he was talking a lot of stuff about, I don't know this and I don't know that. So I just wanted to let him know, yeah, I do know and you don't know. Okay? So let's stick with the topic, which is Moors and Indians. Friends or enemies. Okay? So we looked at the map. Okay, put the map here. We showed you on both sides of the Atlantic, you have the same tribes, you have the same place names. All right? And that's why you see the people look the same too. I know there's some that say that we look different than they do, right? And see, I know from people who don't travel, they'll say stuff like that, that, you know, we look different than the people on the continent. But I know from traveling, you know, that certain tribes look different than we do over here, but that's not the majority of the people. They have many, many different looks in Africa. Okay, they don't all look the same, you know, different phenotypes in Africa. Okay. So these right here, look at these beautiful women here. All right. They look just like African, what you call African Americans. Okay. However, they are from the continent. Each and every one of these women are from the continent. Now, if you were to stick these women in Harlem, you would not know that they were African. Okay? So, Aboriginal Americans and Africans have very similar features. Now, you know, depending on the tribe, you know, certain tribes have very different features and even very distinguished features from other Africans. Okay? Because women like this here, okay, would not look like certain other women in Africa. You know, depends on the tribe that they're from, you know, the country and all of that stuff. So you can't generalize. Okay? Here's the beautiful Dr. Mumbi. Okay? And, you know, her with her beautiful fro. Look at that big afro. Okay? Because some people believe that, you know, Africans can't grow long hair. You know, and that's totally false. Okay? There's plenty of African women with long, very long hair. You know, even longer than a lot of what you call African Americans, what they call African Americans, that misnomer African Americans. Okay? See? Look at these pictures here. All right? Very similar features. All right? African and American. Okay? But they all look very similar. Okay? This is Music Soul Child. All right? It's an African brother here. Look at the features are very similar. Okay? Again, the beautiful Dr. Mumbi. Wow, look at how beautiful she is. Let me stop. All right, it's another sister from the continent. This is a brother from the continent. Okay, and here we have very similar features here. All right, just look. This is an African here. This brother's American. Okay. Very similar. Okay? And that's because of the fact that, let's go back. Again, it's like a big mirror. Okay? What you see on one side of the Atlantic, same thing exists right on the other side. Okay? Second. So you have Ghana over here, all right? And in the Caribbean, you also have an island called, hold on. You also have an island called Guana. Ghana, Guana, okay? See that? Y'all see that? And this is in the Caribbean. Hope y'all can see it. Because I know that the way that I see it on the screen, when I upload the videos to YouTube, it looks a lot smaller. So I'm hoping y'all can see this. See if I can make it a little bit bigger. Alright, yeah. That might be a little bigger for y'all. Alright? Ghana Island. Guana Island. Guana, Ghana. Okay. We're 15 minutes in. Okay. We're going to come back to the map a little bit later. Because I have some more things to show y'all with the maps. But make sure I hit all of these points. Okay. So, how does Fierce Truth Seeker go from being an Indian to a Moor? Okay. Now, some people were wondering about that. I'm still waiting for my homework from the autochthonous one, brother. Where's my homework? You said you wanted to reach out and for me to contact you. Okay. I had left you my email, and I also sent you an email. I haven't heard back from you. All right. Anyway, and you have to remember, I am not from the new or millennial Aboriginal movement. I'm from the original Aboriginal movement. Okay. As I told you before, I'm a mound builder, Washita. All right. And we've always said we were Moors. Okay. Before this new Aboriginal movement, those of us who are part of the original Aboriginal movement, we always said we were Moors. So that's nothing new. Okay. As you can see, this is one of my television episodes from a few years back. Let's see what year this is. (2016), as you can see in the screen here, 2016. Okay, and you can see me wearing the fez. Okay, this is at a powwow. This is at the Shinnecock powwow back 2016, the 2016 powwow. Okay, this is nothing new. Nothing new. Okay, nothing new. All right. We go even before that. Go even before that. All right. So, how many of y'all ever heard of Bobby Hemmett? Y'all ever heard of Bobby? I know there's a lot of y'all who know Bobby Hemmett. Okay. Now, any of y'all who know Bobby Hemmett, y'all know that Bobby Hemmett has been off of the lecture scene for probably maybe over 10 years now. Yeah, about over 10 years now. Okay. And here is a picture. I hope y'all can see. I'm gonna make it bigger so y'all can see it. This is a picture of me and Bobby Hemmett. Okay, this is at a Bobby Hemmett lecture. Okay, up here in New York. All right, back in the days. All right, and as you know, Bobby, like I said, Bobby Hemmett. Those of y'all who know Bobby Hemmett, y'all know he has been off the scene for like at least 10 years now. At least. Okay, so you know that this photo here goes back. Okay, and this wasn't taken with a cell phone either. This was taken with an actual camera. All right, so you see I have the fez on. So this is nothing new. This is this is nothing new, you know. Again, I come from the original narrative, you know. I'm from the old school with this. Okay? It's only the millennials who, you know, have this thing against Moors and they don't know the history, you know, and have been brainwashed and indoctrinated to think that there's something wrong with Moors or that Moors are separate from American Aborigine. Okay, when the narrative came from us. You know, the narrative came from us. That's we were the ones saying this stuff. All right, so I just wanted to show y'all that it's nothing new. All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. All right, so I'm gonna share something with y'all because there's some who are still not gonna believe me, no matter what I say. All right, so Carlton Walker, this is an official document. All right, it's a speech of Mr. Stevens of Georgia, subject on the Mexican subject on. I'm bugging. It's late. All right, so speech of Mr. Stevens of Georgia on the subject of the Mexican War, delivered in the House of Representatives, U.S., June 16th, 1846. Washington. Printed by J&J G.S. Gideon, 1846. All right? So, right, 1846, the House being in committee of the whole on the State of the Union, Mr. Koss in the chair, and having under consideration the bill making appropriations for the Indian Department for the fiscal year ending June 30th, or 30th June, as it reads, 1847. Okay? And we don't need to read all of that. We're going to get right to, we're going to get right to the meat and potatoes because we don't have much time left. I said we're going to stick with this 30. But since we had some delay, I'm going to bump us up. I'm going to give us a little bit more time. Let's get right into this. All right. I have, in this argument, Mr. Chairman, intentionally abstained from arguing the question of Texan boundary. That is, the precise limits to which she rightfully established her jurisdiction and independence, or where the dividing line between us and Mexico ought by negotiation to be fixed. It has nothing to do with the merits of this question. My subject was to show that our boundary in that direction is as yet unsettled, and that the Rio Grande was not declared to be the boundary in the resolution of annexation. I might go further and show that it never was expected to be by some, even at the time of annexation, and by some of its warmest friends. Mr. C.J. Ingersoll, who introduced the resolution of annexation upon this subject, said upon that occasion, check this out. So he says here, he refers to the Moors and Indians as Mauritanian races. So he says here, these stupendous deserts between the Nueces and the Bravo, the Rio Grande or del Norte rivers are the natural boundaries between the Anglo-Saxon and the Mauritanian races. There ends the Valley of the West. There Mexico begins. Thence, beyond the Bravo, begin the Moorish people and their Indian associates. Oh! Whoa! Let me read that again. There ends the Valley of the West. There Mexico begins. Thence, beyond the Bravo, begin the Moorish people and their Indian enemies. Their Indian enemies. Their Indian enemies. No, their Indian associates, to whom Mexico properly belongs, who should not cross that vast desert if they could, as on our side we too ought to stop there, because interminable conflicts must ensue from either our going south or their coming north of that gigantic boundary. While peace is cherished, that boundary will be sacred. Not till the spirit of conquest rages will the people on either side molest or mix with each other, and whenever they do, one or the other race must be conquered, if not extinguished. Okay? So, that right there, that kills all argument you know, as far as whether or not Moors and Indians are enemies. You see what I'm saying? And then when we go deeper, you're going to see that Moors and Indians are really one and the same people. Okay? Let's dig deeper. Give me 1 second. All right. So now we're going to take a look at one of the chiefs, okay, of the Mohegan tribe. Now, talk about this chief in my book. That long-awaited book. This is one reference here. So, says here, how an Indian chief finally had a hearing at Southwark Cathedral. Make this a little bigger. All right, that's a little better. Oh, that was so hard on my eyes. All right, so let's read up. Okay, so here, the stone sculpture in the garden of Southwark Cathedral rights a wrong dating back almost 300 years. Patrick Comerford. On my way from Liverpool Street Station to the meeting of the trustees of the Anglican Missionary Agency, USPG, yesterday, 15th May 2019, in our offices in Trinity Street, Southwark, I stopped briefly at Southwark Cathedral, which I had not visited for a number of years. In the cathedral gardens, the story is told of Mohammed Waynoman, described as a Mohegan Sachem, or chief, who died at the age of 36 in Aldermanbury in the city of London. Muhammad's presence in London was the result of injustice and exploitation. His tribe had helped the first English settlers in New England to survive the bitter cold and to repel attacks by other American Indians. Mohammed Waynoman was a cultured and educated man who could speak, read, and write several languages, including English and Latin. He was the grandson of Sachem Owinoko, who was granted the return of the Mohegan lands by an order of 1705. But this order was ignored by the government of Connecticut. His people, the Mohegans, became allies of the English, but the settlers soon began to till tribal lands. The Mohegan are a Native American tribe historically based in the present-day Connecticut. The majority are associated with the Mohegan tribe, a federally recognized tribe that lives on a reservation in the eastern upper Thames River Valley of south central Connecticut. Despite support for the Mohegan cause from Queen Anne's commissioners in 1705, the lands were never returned. Mohammed sailed to London with 3 supporters in 1735 to petition King George II for the return of their lands. They rented accommodation at St. Mary, Aldenbury, in the city of London while they prepared their petition to the king. But while they were awaiting a royal audience, Muhammad and Captain John Mason, a descendant of the settler who had first acted as a guardian and trustee of Mohegan land, contracted smallpox, and they both died in 1736. Because at the time, foreigners could not be buried in the city, Muhammad's body was carried across the river Thames, and he was buried near St. Saviour's Church, which later became Southwark Cathedral. The exact location of his grave is unknown, but a sculpture in the garden on the southeast side of the cathedral is his memorial today. The memorial was erected at the request of the Mohegan tribe to honor a fallen chief. A stone was brought from the Mohegan lands and carved with forms of a stone was brought from the Mohegan lands and carved with forms that reflect ancient custom by Peter Randolph Page. These forms include a 4-dome medallion or rosette and trail motifs. The medallion is carved at the top of the memorial and symbolizes the spiritual force that flows through all things. The parallel lines and trail motifs represent paths traveled through life. It was unveiled by Queen Elizabeth II on 22nd November 2006 with the tribal chairman Bruce Two Dogs Bosm and the U.S. ambassador symbolically granting the audience Mohammed never received. The sculpture has added poignancy because the word Sakum comes from the Mohegan word for stone or rock. I mean, that just kills all arguments right there, Carlton Walker. Okay? No Moors. Indians are not Moors. So how do you have a chief named Mohammed? Okay? Chief Mohammed. All right? So that just shuts down that whole Indian argument. And on that note, we'll get more into some other stuff during the next presentation. So on that note, I'm going to say, do da da, go hon e.